This year, about 409,000 students are expected to pursue courses at the various tertiary level. The University of Ghana is expected to absorb about 14,000 students out of the 409,000. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology can only absorb 10,000 students, while the polytechnics and training colleges would only offer admission for a little over 5,000 students. 80,000 of the students are expected to pursue courses in various private universities. The situation has already posed a headache to government.
With all things being equal, it is most likely that half of the number of these students are going to be denied admission because the institutions cannot admit beyond the number that the facilities can offer.
The association also suggested to government to set up a private education trust fund for students.
For those students who might not get admission into the various public institutions but would want to take the alternative of applying for the various private universities, government should see how best the student loan trust fund can cater for their admission, because already most of the private universities school fees are even going higher.
They also called for a review of the Gov't fund to meet demand.
And to delve more in this issue, I have in the studio with me Elias Zigahi as president of the Private University Students Association of Ghana. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. Yeah. Now, government has come out several times to say that every qualified student will gain admission into tertiary institutions, but you're still not satisfied with this. Why?
Okay, we are not satisfied because when government came out to make a statement, government has not given us any definite number with regards to those students who are qualified, and each institution is the number that they are going to take. So we try to do some homework on our own. We realize that Legon can admit about 14,000, Tech can admit a little over 10,000. When you put University of Mines and Technology, and then the two new universities that have been established, we believe that they can, from our indications, we believe that they can admit about 5,000 or more, but not even up to 8,000. And then you take the private universities and other vocational institutions, the polytechnics, about the 10 polytechnics, they can admit about 30,000, not even up to 40,000. And then the other vocational institutions in the West, if you put all these figures together, you still wouldn't get close to the 409 qualified students that 409 SHS graduates. And when we are talking about qualified students, the government has not come out to tell us the exact number of qualified students who will be applying for those institutions. And if we have to do the mathematics right, maybe not all of them will qualify for the various institutions. Maybe about 80% or 70% might qualify. And even with that calculation, let us also bear in mind that there are people who have written off deck and they also are waiting to enter the various institutions this year. So with all those figures, we are still not satisfied that government has provided a straight-cut policy of resolving this particular issue. We do acknowledge the fact that they are trying their best by involving the various public institutions to expand and all in order to accommodate these students. But we should also remember the standard of education according to the National Accreditation Board. We are not supposed to exceed the capacity that those various institutions can provide. And from every indication, some of the students have not been able to get admission to those public institutions. And we are still expecting government to come out and say, this is the way forward.
Exactly what do you want government to do?
What we want government to do is the private universities are there. This is the time for government to showcase to the whole world that they really believe in the PPP concept. That's the private-public partnership. They have been doing some, but this is another golden opportunity for them to partner with the private universities. There are so many means that they can do that. The Student Loan Trust Fund is being disbursed according to the public institutions, which is very insignificant when we compare with the various private universities' tuition fees. So we are calling the government to make a special allocation of the Student Trust Fund, that those students who might not be able to gain admission into the various public institutions will be able to access this fund that could at least cushion them up to half of their fees. That will ease the burden of various parents, because it might not be his fault for not getting admission to Legon, only because Legon might not be able to accommodate him because of their capacity. So that person have to look for an alternative. So that is what we are calling the government, that one, look for the make a special location of the student loan transfer for private universities. So if you are giving 400 Ghana cedis to public institutions, they should be considering about 1,000 plus for those who be going for those various private universities. We're also asking government to partner the various private universities. They should call them to the negotiation tables. Then try to dialogue with them. This is the situation. How do we help you in order for you to accommodate those students so that it can ease the financial burden of those various students? And then in the long term, we're also proposing to government that in terms of education, we are pleading with them that the discrimination according to the Gov't fund, they should have a look at it again. They should cause a review of the Gov't fund so that it can accommodate the private institutions as well. Because we believe that we are all Ghanaians, the fact that we belong to the private university or the public institution does not give them the opportunity to discriminate against us. So we are calling for the review of the Gov't fund to incorporate the various private universities.
Out of the 409,000 students expected to gain admission this year, around 80,000 are expected to gain admission in private universities. How prepared are private universities to accommodate this intake? Well,
I have been in touch with the various private university heads, especially the Conference of Heads of Private Universities, Professor Kosi Yanka. I've been chatting with him most often. And even if you take a look around the various private universities, you realize that there's huge infrastructure development. I can give you a few examples. If you go to Pentecost University College, they are now establishing 7-story building, which is almost completed. That means they have foreseen this problem way in advance, and then they placed appropriate measures in order to curtail it. You go to All Nation University, they have also moved from their city campus to another campus where they are also expanding.
So you are saying they are well prepared for this?
They are well prepared. They only need government support.
There's been some concerns about the hike in school fees.
Yeah, that is our problem, because even currently as I speak to you, most of the private universities, some of them have increased their fees, some by 10%, by 15%, and the highest we got as of yesterday was by 20%. So how would a student who might not be even able to afford the private education afford private university, which fees are already high, and now there's even a slight increment on their fees? So we are calling the government that if government should come and partner with the private university, there's ways the government can talk to the private universities, the heads of private universities, and say, look, reduce your fees so that this situation we have at time, our students can also come in. But the only way government to have the moral right to talk to the various private universities will be if you show concern in their activities, if you show some sort of support for them. There are so many relief that government can give the various private universities. And we are also calling on government that as at this time, it is time for them, especially the tax that we want to impose on private universities. At this particular time, we feel that it is not up to. We feel that it's not right timing, because this is the time they need the support of the private university. They should try and lobby them in order to arrest this situation. Then later on they can negotiate about the tax issue by giving the tax holidays or something that will motivate them in order to supplement the effort of government. Government alone cannot do it. Therefore, they need the support, and this is the golden opportunity for them to partner with the private universities. By so doing, we believe that our colleagues, we are very passionate about our colleagues, because education is the bedrock of every developed country. And if we want to develop, then education must be our priority.
I remember you also did come up against the proposed tax on private universities. Yeah. How far with that?
Actually, we sent a petition to the Parliament and then copied the Minister of Education and his deputy. And up to now, we have not heard any concrete response from them. We have not forgotten about it. We are still reminding them that instead of taxing private universities now, they should look at means and way to partner with them for the development of our human capital base.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Elias Ziga. He is president of the Private University Student Association of Ghana, and they've accused government of failing to provide a clear-cut policy in solving the double intake of students in tertiary institutions.